Next question is a good one. It was someone reading the book of Samuel, or First and Second Samuel, and reflecting on this line that David, King David, right there, there's the man himself, Goliath's head. It said of King David that he was a man after God's own heart. And what does that mean? And I immediately admit, I'm not fully sure. At least I would say that there's so much to that could be revealed. I feel like I'd like to re-answer this maybe after a few months of reflecting on that, because I'm sure there's so much more to be developed here. But just a couple of things. One, to be after someone's heart is, most basic level, it's sort of like you know the things they value and they like and they love, and you pursue those things. That's what's important to you. That's what you focus on. That's how you want to live. So the one who's after God's heart is the one who knows what's important to God, and strives and really prioritizes those things. Now, you could take this reflection into the scriptures and kind of say, okay, if we know that David sort of models this, someone who's after God's heart, someone who God is pleased by, then look at his life and see what are those characteristics that he has, what are those virtues, what is it that's so lovable about him that God loved so much. I think it also would be a good reflection to do through the Gospels. Page through the Gospels and see the people when Jesus is like, hey, you see that? That's what I'm looking for. That guy's got it right. That woman's doing it right. That's the right answer. Because we should be like taking notes, like, okay, note that. Important. Jesus praises this. That's something worth trying to do and trying to be like. So if you're looking at like what kind of character should I develop, it's like, let's find all the great gospel heroes and all the people who Jesus kind of said, like, yeah, this person gets me. And try to form ourselves like that. It'd be a great practice. But my own little answer on this idea of God loving the heart of David, I just, my mind immediately went to Rudy, if you know the Rudy movie. And just thinking of the character Rudy, he's someone that just has so much heart to me. And everyone loves him because there's just no ego. And like, what's so funny, what's ironic is Rudy wants to be the big football star. If you haven't seen the movie, well, I'm not spoiling anything because it's old, and so it's your fault if you haven't seen it yet. But if you haven't, or if you have, just go to it. It's a great movie. But he doesn't have the talent, but he has the heart. That's the essence of the movie. But like, if he was this great star, people don't actually love stars as much as we think they do, or as we do. Often we love like their voice or their appearance or their money or their skill, and really we're more envious than anything. Like, no guy kind of like gets out of the big stretch Hummer limo and has all these girls at his side and we're like, I really actually like that guy. No, we're like, oh, and if I was only, and oh, I wish I was him, and I disdain or whatever. So I don't know, I just don't know how, being all that successful or popular or famous, it's really not the most likable, even the best. That's a whole other thing. But so, back to the point, if Rudy achieved that, he wouldn't quite have had the same heart and he wouldn't have been so lovable. That's the point. Is like Rudy was so lovable because he wasn't the greatest, and but what we really love more, see, we do love someone like Rudy, because you can look at them and say, I want to be like that. I want him as a friend. You do actually love his character. That's what you're loving, not just his ability, his character. And what's funny is the guy who plays Rudy, unfortunately I don't remember his name, he also plays Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings, and they have some similarities. Maybe it's just part of the guy's personality, but they're both kind of just this humble, sturdy, reliable, simple friend. Sam is just the most faithful friend. There's nothing spectacular about Sam except his fidelity. And that's what's so great and beautiful about him. And it really just helps you set your sights on, like, that's a way better goal, to strive to be a Sam or a Rudy. First of all, it's way more obtainable. Secondly, it's just so much more beneficial and lovable. And you're going to be happier. Rudy is happier than the great star. So bringing that into God and to David, I think there's something unique about humanity that God loves. And that has to be true, or else he would have never have done this thing. Too often we think, well, God had this plan and had it all set up and it was supposed to go way over here in this straight line, And then, we messed it up and we curved way around and we're just way off track to where it's like, here's what God wanted and here's where we're at. And this is complex because obviously, God doesn't want things to be chaotic and all this evil. But at the same time, he's created a world where he knows that that's going to be the case. And that's going to be part of really getting to where the ideal situation. He didn't just make this clean, straight road. Like, here's what I want, and this is how it's going to be. He makes this destination, the New Jerusalem, a peaceful place of permanent joy, but he knew that the road was going to be this thing, man. And, like, if he didn't, then he really messed up, and he's not the greatest God or the greatest creator. Like, if you didn't expect humanity, and if you're surprised by humanity, or if you dislike how bad humanity is at living, then, boy, just why would you ever create that? It's like, someone who has a dog and they're perpetually annoyed every time the dog barks or slobbers on something, and it's okay, that's annoying, but it's like, dude, you bought a dog. What do you expect? And I say this joking because, as some of you know, my parents have a 6-foot dog that lives in their house. And sometimes I get a little frustrated because, like standing in front of the TV and you can't even move this dang thing. And it's like, well, okay, I guess this is what you get when you have a horse living in your house, right? So if you invite a horse into your house, like, you better be ready to live with a horse, okay? So God has done this. He's decided to make humans. Now, he also made angels, and he loves angels, and great. But, like, he also made humans, and there's a reason why he didn't make us like angels. There's a reason why we're weak. There's a reason why there's something about our stumblings. And again, bring it back to David. There's something about the stumbling, struggling human being and the beauty of the one who just keeps going. The beauty of the Rudy or the beauty of the Sam or the beauty of those who are willing to take the sufferings of life and not quit. Those who are just willing to just be a decent human being and to say, hey, I can't offer that much, but like, here's what I've got and I give that to you. And I think God really just delights in that. In the same way where you see that guy just getting back into the ring again and again, face bloody, but just there trying, you can't help but just be like, man, there's just something great about that. There's something triumphant about the one who gets to the end and they are, bloody, Adrian, right? And they're just, soaked in sweat and blood, but like they've made it, man. So yeah, we're eventually going to get there. If we were permanently left in this just kind of toil and struggle, there would be something hellish about that. But the hope is like all of this is on the way towards this perfection. But it's going to be a perfection that's humanity perfected. And boy, we're not even quite sure what that looks like yet. And we're not even quite sure the difference between a glorified human being and an angel, right? The angel kind of started off there, but there's something about the journey and the one who arrives there that's different. But all that to say that God, he just must like something about this. And it doesn't excuse our bad behavior, or it doesn't mean like you just sin a bunch and be like, well, I'm only human, so. Well, then at the same time, Brother Lawrence, he would say that to God. He would try as hard as he could, but every time he failed, he'd say, well, God, this is the best I can do unless you help me, so I'm going to keep trying, but you got to help me. It's a great human perspective, a great holy and sanctified, sane and reasonable perspective. To develop a heart, to live with heart, and to love and to value the things God loves and values, and to pursue those with great energy and as much passion as we can muster, and to do that again and again in the face of failing. I think that's how you form a heart that God delights in and how you become a person after God's heart.